Okay guys, here is day 5 for unit 2. So we're going to be talking about angles of rotation and reference angles. So I have a lot of this stuff filled out, so feel free to fill it out while I kind of talk through some of these. But we have acute and obtuse angles that talks about 1 and 2. So acute's anything between 0 and 90 degrees, and an obtuse angle is anything between 90 degrees and 180. So those are two terms that you might hear while we're going over angle stuff. Same with supplementary and complementary angles. So supplementary angles are when the sum of the angles are equivalent to 180 degrees, and complementary is when the sums of the angles are 90 degrees. So I labeled these 4 sides here for you guys. So one of the things that you need to make sure is that you remember where the x-axis is, where the y-axis is, and then you want to label your quadrants. So kind of a counterclockwise here. You start quadrant 1, then you move to the left, it's quadrant 2. Just below that is quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So you'll have to be labeling those on some of these problems as well. And when we have our angle and we're starting in the standard position, we're always going to start on this side right here. So we're going to start here. We're going to call this 0. We're going to label these sides when we get into some of our practice problems. So we're going to start here at 0. Up here at the top would be 90. As we continue to rotate, this would be 180. So from your starting point all the way down would be 180. Down at the bottom here at the end of quadrant 3 would be 270, and then a full circle would make us 360. So if we have a positive angle that we're drawing, if we have the standard position and it's positive, we're going to start here and we're going to rotate to the left, just like we have in the example here. So if you have questions, go ahead and just pause the video, copy down the info, and you guys can listen to that again. Otherwise, we'll talk a little bit more about it when we get into the practice problems. And then at the bottom here, we have our reference angle. So that is the angle formed by the terminal side of the angle in standard position, nearest side of the x-axis. So again, super important that you remember that this is the x and this is the y. And it's formed by the terminal side of the angle. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So we have our reference angle right here that's labeled. So you can see this is kind of a little sneak peek as to what we're going to be doing. But we're going to be creating a right angle here. So that's what our reference angle is. So let's dive into some practice problems here with this. So we'll start with number 1 on page 23. It says draw a diagram of the given angle in standard position. So again, remember I said we're always going to start here. So this is going to be our 0. We're going to call this our 90, 180, and then 270 down here. So all we're doing for these first 6 is drawing the diagram of the given angle in the standard position. So we're just drawing in the angle. So 40 degrees is somewhere between 0 and 90. So just take your best guess as to where you think 40 degrees is going to be. So it's just under halfway through. That's going to be 45. So just kind of draw in your angle and make sure that you go ahead and label it so we know. So this angle right here is 40 degrees. So the second one is 250. So again, if you can't remember, go ahead, feel free to label those. So we'll make this a 0. We're going to go 90, 180, and 270. So it says 250, so we know if we're starting here, we're going to go all the way around and come just a little bit short of our 270 here. So we're going to draw that all the way around. And I'm just going to draw my angle in there. Third one is negative 300. So we're going to start in the same place over here, but it's going to be the opposite, and we're going to rotate this way instead. So we're going to start going down and to the left instead of up and to the left. So again, it's 90 again each way. So we'll hit 90 at the bottom. We'll hit 180. We'll hit 270 at the top, so we know that 270 and 360, 300, our negative 300 angle is going to be somewhere in between, so we'll probably stop maybe right around here. So I'm going to draw my circle all the way around and then fill in my reference angle. So 4 looks a little bit different. 4 is 540, so it's more than one full rotation around. So all you need to do for that is kind of continue to draw your circle. It'll look kind of like a little snail or a cinnamon roll, however you want to call it. So again, 90, 180, 270, 360, and then if you don't know, bust out your calculator, and you have 360 plus 90, so that's going to be 450. So I'm going to label those sides real quick. So we went 0, 90, 180, 270. We just said this is going to be 360. Here's 450, so we're still not done. We have 540, so then we're going to add another 90. And 540 is right here. So we're going to go all the way around and then halfway around again. So again, like I said, it's going to be kind of like a little cinnamon roll type looking thing. So you're just going to go all the way around and then stop again here. And then just label your angle right there. 2 more, so negative 315. So same thing again, starting in the same spot. 90, 180, 270, 360 would get us all the way around. So we'll say about here. And we'll go around, draw in our reference angle of negative 315. And 1 more, 135. So again, starting in the same spot as always, it's positive, so we're going to go up and to the left. 90 and 180 would be all the way around. We know we don't want to go there, so we'll stop just shy of that and draw in our reference angle. So there's the first 6. Now for the last 6, it says to sketch the angle in standard position and then find the measure of its reference angle. So we'll sketch in, we'll start number 1, and then we'll continue on with the new steps. So we'll start here, and we're going to go around again, 90, 180, so we know we're going to stop right about here, and I'm going to draw in my reference angle. Now remember, you can always reference back to your notes, but our notes said that we're going to find the measure of the reference angle. So remember back here, we have our reference angle. It's the angle formed by the terminal side of the angle in standard position nearest the x-axis. So you can see here, no matter where our angle ended up, we're going to draw a perpendicular line to the x-axis to create a right triangle and then measure that angle. So here we are on number 1. So we're going to draw a perpendicular line for 150. So actually I'm going to switch colors so you guys can see that. So right here, and like I said, I'm going to make that a right triangle there. So now I'm going to measure this angle right here. So I'm going to take the full amount that I have, 180, and I'm going to subtract 150. And I'm going to get 30 for what's in here. So my angle in here is 30 degrees. So let's try that again on number 2. So again, we're going to start here. We're going to go around 90, 180, 270. So I'm going to make my way around 225-ish. So I'm going to draw in my reference angle. And now I'm going to make a perpendicular line to the x-axis again. Always to the x-axis, so I know that that's a right triangle. And so for the x-axis, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to subtract. Now, one thing you have to remember, I'm going to give you guys a hint. Your reference angle, always positive. So that means we're on the left-hand side of my y-axis, so I'm going to use 180 again, just like I did on number 1. But I need it to come out positive, so I'm going to start with 225. I'm going to start with my larger number and subtract my smaller number. So I'm going to get 225. Go ahead and get your calculator out. So 225 minus 180. And my angle there is 45 degrees. So my reference angle is 45 degrees. And that's that angle right in there. So let's try number 3. So 3 is a negative. So remember, starting in the same place always, but we're going to rotate the opposite way. So 90 and then 180. So we know we're going to stop in between 90 and 180. I'm going to draw my reference angle in. And again, same thing. Draw in my line perpendicular to my x-axis. And I think I reminded you guys of this just now, always positive. So on my left side I have 180, so I'm going to take 180 and I'm going to subtract 135 to get my angle. Always want it to be positive. So you're going to take the smaller from the bigger. My angle comes out to be 45 degrees. All right, so we're going to move quickly through these last couple. So for 300, remember 90, 180, 270, 360. So we're going to end up down here, 270, stop right about here. I'm going to switch my colors so you can see. So I drew in my angle here. But if I end up on this side, I'm going to use 360. So if I'm on the left side, my angle ends up on the left side of my y-axis. I'm going to use 180. On the right side, I am going to use 360. So I have 360. Again, I need it to be positive, so I'm starting with my larger number. So 360 minus 300, my angle is 60 degrees. Let's do number 5. Starting with 480, so 90, 180, 270, 360. Again, if you don't remember, you can use your calculator and add 360 plus 90 is going to give us 450. So we know 450 plus 30, we're going to end up right in here up in this quadrant. So I'm going to go kind of snake around again and end up here. Draw in my reference angle, and remember I'm on my left-hand side. So now this time I have 480 as my angle, but I don't need to count it all the way around. So I'm going to go, let me make this. So right here I'm going to do 480 here. And I'm going to subtract . And I'm going to end up with 120 here. And then from here, because I'm on my left-hand side, I'm going to take this 120 and I'm going to do 180 minus 120. Sorry, I didn't mean to circle that too early, and so I end up with 60. So there's my answer for, oh, can't see that. There you go, guys, for number 5. So 6. Last one. Again, remember we're going to start the opposite direction. Negative 210, so 90, 180, 270. So we're going to end up in this quadrant up here. We're going to draw in. And remember, we're going to do negative 210, and we're going to subtract 180 here. We're going to get negative 30, but remember, we want that to be positive. So go ahead and make that a positive angle. Your answer should always come out. And that's it for day 5.